Welcome to another journey through literature. Today, you are about to embark on an intense exploration of one of William Shakespeare's most captivating and, frankly, chilling tragedies, Macbeth.
Oh, absolutely chilling. It's a play that just plunges you deep into the dark corners of human ambition, moral corruption, and that really haunting question of how much control we actually have over our own destiny.
Exactly. How does this revered, honorable hero, Macbeth, transform into, well, a despised, blood-soaked tyrant?
And what's the psychological toll? I mean, the price his mind pays for that descent, it's devastating.
It really is. This journey today will try to uncover some of the chilling answers embedded within this timeless work. We really want you to see the true cost of unchecked power.
It's truly a masterpiece, isn't it? Because it delves right into the essence of human nature, especially that really dangerous mix of ambition and insecurity. As we trace Macbeth's arc, from the celebrated warrior to a tyrannical king, we're not just going to recount what happens.
No, not at all.
We'll meticulously examine the profound psychological shifts he undergoes, the insidious ways appearance can betray reality that's huge in this play, the eternal tension between fate and free will, and of course, the catastrophic disruption of both natural and social order that follows his choices.
Yeah, it's a masterclass, really, in the corrupting influence of power. And it still feels, shockingly relevant today.
It does.
Absolutely. So, to truly understand Macbeth's downfall, we have to start right at the beginning. That initial spark, the thing that sets everything in motion, the prophecy, and that first temptation.
Right, the setup.
Our story opens in 11th century Scotland, and it's a land that is as stark and beautiful as it is, well, brutal. You have to imagine this realm of craggy mountains, desolate moors, fierce loyalties.
Unyielding loyalties, yeah. Where tribal warfare is just this constant backdrop and honor is held in incredibly high esteem.
It's a place where, often makes right, but where the slightest breach of trust can bring total ruin.
Precisely. And that it's in this almost primal, rugged setting, specifically on a desolate heath, fresh from a victorious, very bloody battle, that we witness this fateful encounter that changes everything.
Macbeth, this brave and noble general, he's returning triumphant alongside his comrade Banquo. They've just put down a rebellion, shown incredible loyalty and skill to King Duncan.
They're heroes, absolutely bathed in the glory of victory. But it's not a hero's welcome that meets them first. It's something far more unsettling, something that seems to defy the very laws of nature almost.
Right. They stumble upon these three mysterious figures, the Weird Sisters, or as they're commonly known, the Witches. And they are profoundly strange.
Oh yeah, Banquo himself says they don't seem to belong on Earth, right? He describes their choppy fingers and skinny lips. They're just unsettling.
Totally unsettling. Yet, despite this grotesque appearance, their words carry this undeniable, almost disturbing weight. They greet Macbeth with three astonishing titles.
Titles that immediately start to chip away at his reality, whispering possibilities he might never have dared to voice aloud before.
And what's truly fascinating here is the insidious precision of their greeting.
Yeah.
It's so targeted.
It really is. They address him first as Thane of Glamis. Okay, that's his current title. He already holds that. A Thane, for anyone listening, was an important Scottish nobleman, sort of like a chieftain, holding land from the king, providing military service.
So, step one, confirmation.
Yeah.
He is Thane of Glamis.
Exactly. Then they hail him as Thane of Cawdor. Now, he doesn't hold this title. As far as he knows, the Thane of Cawdor is alive and well. And then the bombshell, King Hereafter.
Wow.
And for Banquo, their prophecy is, well, it's more indirect, but just as significant. He won't be king, but his descendants, his children, they will also reign.
Which sets up a whole other dynamic later on.
Oh, absolutely. And it introduces this critical layer of equivocation right from the very start. That's such a central theme in Macbeth.
And this is where that theme of appearance versus reality just slams into focus immediately, doesn't it?
Straight away.
These witches appear otherworldly, almost not quite physical, yet their words hold these unsettling truths. It's a classic example of equivocation.
Explain that a bit more, what equivocation really means here.
Well, they don't exactly lie, but they speak in half-truths or riddles or truths, framed in a way that's designed to mislead. They present information that seems straightforward but actually hides a deeper, treacherous meaning.
Like a kind of verbal trap.
Exactly. Think of it like, a carefully worded political promise or maybe a horoscope. It's true enough to hook you, but slippery enough to mislead you down a dangerous path.
And Macbeth, he's instantly hooked, completely ensnared by that tantalizing possibility of kingship.
Psychologically, this moment is just huge. Macbeth is immediately wrapped like he's mesmerized by these predictions. He's visibly disturbed, you can tell, yet he's drawn in.
Especially by the thought of kingship. Which strongly suggests, doesn't it, that there was maybe an underlying ambition already there, perhaps dormant, just waiting for something to ignite it.
I think so. And Banquo, in sharp contrast, is so much more cautious. His skepticism really acts as a vital foil to Macbeth's burgeoning desire.
He notes their strange appearance, sure, but crucially, he warns Macbeth. He says something like, "Instruments of darkness tell us truths, to betrays in deepest consequence."
Powerful words.
Yeah, he recognizes the profound danger in seemingly good news from sinister sources. He sees the bait in the trap. Macbeth doesn't, or maybe chooses not to.
And then almost too quickly, with this chilling speed that seems to confirm the witch's supernatural power.
Like magic, almost.
The first prophecy comes true. Messengers arrive from King Duncan hailing Macbeth as the new Thane of Cawdor.
Because the previous Thane, it turns out, was a traitor, executed swiftly. And Macbeth, completely unknowingly, has just stepped into his title.
Wow. So this sudden, undeniable validation of the witch's words, it acts like a match to dry tinder, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It ignites Macbeth's latent ambition and sends his mind just spiraling into this feverish contemplation of that third prophecy, the big one.
King Hereafter.
King Hereafter.
Yeah.
And this is when Macbeth's internal conflict really starts to boil over. You see it especially in his famous soliloquy.
Right, where he speaks his thoughts aloud so we get direct access to his inner turmoil.
He grapples with this horrid image of murder. He's contemplating an act that makes his seated heart knock at my ribs against the use of nature. He feels it physically.
He knows it's wrong. Deeply wrong.
He acknowledges that this supernatural soliciting cannot be ill, cannot be good. That line perfectly encapsulates his moral dilemma, doesn't it?
It really does. Is this a divine sign leading him to greatness, or is it a demonic temptation pulling him towards damnation?
He's profoundly torn between this sudden, terrifying opportunity and his innate moral compass. But ultimately, you see his vaulting ambition start to take hold.
Yeah, overshadowing his conscience like a rising tide. Okay, let's unpack this phrase a bit more. Vaulting ambition. It's so vivid.
It is. It's like he's a desperate rider trying to leap onto a horse, but he leaps too high, overshoots it, and falls on the other side.
That's a great way to put it. It suggests an ambition so immense it just bypasses all natural and moral boundaries, blindly leaping towards a goal without considering the consequences of the fall.
He's not just thinking about being king, he's already picturing the means to get there. And that's the truly horrifying part for him at this stage.
He's shocked by his own thoughts, by the darkness he finds within himself. It kind of suggests a pre-existing capacity for violence, maybe, just waiting for that spark.
I think that's a very strong possibility. And this internal struggle is then amplified and, you could argue, pretty much resolved by Lady Macbeth's formidable influence.
Ah, Lady Macbeth.
Upon receiving Macbeth's letter about the prophecies, she immediately grasps the monstrous opportunity with this chilling clarity.
Her first thought isn't about morality, is it?
Not at all. Her initial concern is about Macbeth's milk of human kindness, that metaphor for his compassionate, humane nature. She fears he lacks the ruthlessness, the sheer brutality to seize the crown.
But she thinks he's too soft.
Exactly. Which drives her to this truly disturbing extreme. She calls on dark spirits to unsex her, to strip away any perceived feminine weakness, any tender emotion, and fill her instead with direst cruelty.
It's terrifying, isn't it? She's not just encouraging him, she's actively trying to transform herself, asking for the very essence of her womanhood, as she sees it, to be replaced with this chilling, murderous resolve.
She believes compassion, which was often associated with women in that era, would just hinder their dark purpose.
And this leads straight into another crucial aspect of appearance versus reality. Lady Macbeth famously advises Macbeth to look like the innocent flower, but be the serpent under it.
Such a famous line.
She's setting the stage for profound deception, isn't she? Not just of Duncan, but of everyone around them. It really lays bare her mastery of duplicity.
This advice is chilling because it perfectly outlines their strategy. Calculated duplicity. Present an outward show of loyalty, hospitality, innocence.
While harboring murderous intent inside.
Exactly. And this immediately challenges the established social order. The idea of seizing power through murder, especially regicide killing a king, is a direct, almost blasphemous challenge to the divine right of kings.
Right. For listeners, this was a huge deal in Shakespeare's time, the belief that a monarch's authority came directly from God.
So killing a king wasn't just treason, it was a sin against God's divine order itself. It shook the very foundations of society and, people believed, invited cosmic retribution.
Which we definitely see signs of later.
Oh, yes.
So with the seed of ambition planted and Lady Macbeth's iron will driving the plan forward, the stage is set for the ultimate act of betrayal.
And that brings us to the descent into darkness, the murder of King Duncan. This is the rising action of the play, the events that build tension and lead us towards the climax.
And the opportunity presents itself almost too perfectly. King Duncan, who is trusting and benevolent, almost to a fault.
Yeah, tragically trusting.
He arrives at Macbeth's castle in Inverness. And ironically, he praises its pleasant seat and delicate air. He has no idea what's brewing inside.
That dramatic irony where we, the audience, know more than the characters, is palpable here. It's deeply unsettling. Duncan, a genuinely good king, is stepping into a trap laid by those he trusts most, under their own roof.
And Macbeth, at this point, he still feels that profound hesitation, doesn't he? That last flicker of his moral compass.
He does. He lists compelling reasons against the murder. Duncan is his kinsman, his subject, and his guest. That's a triple bond of loyalty that should protect him.
He even acknowledges Duncan's virtues, calls him meek and clear as a king, whose virtues will plead like angels, trumpet-tongued against the deep damnation of his taking off.
He foresees the moral abyss. He knows what he's about to do. You can almost hear him trying to talk himself out of it, trying to cling to that last shred of his former honorable self.
But Lady Macbeth, oh, she is utterly relentless here.
Absolutely ruthless. She mercilessly taunts him, questions his manhood, challenges his bravery, asks if he is afeard to be the same in thine own act and valor as thou art in desire. Basically, are you scared to do what you want to do?
And then that horrifying line.
Yeah, she declares, with this chilling resolve, she would have plucked her nipple from her nursing baby's mouth and dashed the brains out rather than break such a solemn promise as the one Macbeth made to kill Duncan.
It's so shocking. It's designed purely to push Macbeth over the edge, isn't it?
Yeah.
To resolve his doubts with sheer psychological force, hitting his pride, his sense of masculinity.
It's a brutal demonstration of her manipulative power, a direct assault on his sense of self. And even before the deed is done, Macbeth's psyche starts to unravel under the immense pressure.
The dagger scene.
Exactly. We see his vision of the air-drawn dagger leading him towards Duncan's chamber, its handle pointing towards his hand.
It's not real, though.
No, it's a powerful, terrifying hallucination, a manifestation of his troubled mind, his escalating guilt, and the break from reality that's already starting to happen within him. It's a horrifying premonition of his later torment.
A tangible representation of his bloody intent.
Yeah.
And the regicide itself, the actual murder, chillingly happens off stage. We don't see it directly.
Which only emphasizes its unspeakable, almost unholy nature, doesn't it? By leaving it to our imaginations, Shakespeare makes the horror even more profound.
Macbeth returns, and he's deeply traumatized. He can't compose himself. He hears voices crying, "Sleep no more." Macbeth does murder sleep.
That sense that he's destroyed something fundamental, something innocent and restorative.
He laments his inability to say amen when the grooms prayed, and he even brings the bloody daggers back with him.
Which is a huge mistake, tactically. But it's a clear sign of his psychological unraveling, his inability to cope with the sheer enormity of the deed. He's already broken by what he's done.
And this contrasts so sharply with Lady Macbeth's, well, chilling practicality.
Night and day. While Macbeth is consumed by guilt and terror, she's entirely pragmatic, focused on the immediate task, covering their tracks.
She immediately takes the daggers back, smears the sleeping grooms with blood,
And declares with frightening calm, "A little water clears us of this deed."
Oh, the irony of that line, knowing what happens to her later.
Devastating irony. Her calm, almost clinical exterior at this moment just highlights Macbeth's tormented conscience. She's focused on the appearance of guilt, manufacturing it for others. He's wrestling with the horrifying reality of it, feeling his soul is irrevocably stained.
And the chaos that erupts after the discovery is swift and brutal. It mirrors that cosmic disruption of killing a king.
Macduff discovers the murder, the castle descends into pandemonium, and Macbeth, in a supposed fit of pious rage, a completely deceptive display of righteous anger, kills the guards.
Why? To silence them.
Exactly, eliminating potential witnesses and maintaining the illusion that they were the guilty ones. It's a desperate, cunning move to cover his tracks.
And this act, this cover-up, it has these profoundly unintended consequences, doesn't it?
Huge consequences. Duncan's sons, Malcolm and Donalbain, they fear for their lives. They wisely recognize that unfelt sorrow is dangerous. They don't trust the show of grief around them, so they flee.
Malcolm to England, Donalbain to Ireland.
Right, which ironically makes Macbeth the immediate heir to the throne. The next in line after the direct heirs have conveniently disappeared.
He gets what he wanted, but through this cascade of unnatural acts.
And if we connect this back to the bigger picture, well, what does this chaos in nature tell us about the justice, or rather injustice, of Macbeth's act?
Shakespeare gives us those vivid signs, right?
He does. He paints this picture of cosmic disruption. Chimneys are blown down, strange screams are heard in the air, the earth shakes, and most tellingly, an owl, a creature of the night, kills a falcon, a powerful daybird.
Nature itself is out of whack.
Exactly. It's Shakespeare's way of showing that regicide isn't just a political crime, it's a crime against the very fabric of the universe, an unnatural act that turns the world upside down.
The natural order recoils from Macbeth's unnatural deed. The order of the realm and of nature itself has been violently disrupted, setting a very dark precedent for his reign.
And that reign, as we move into the climax of the play, is characterized by, well, escalating paranoia and yet more bloodshed. The tyrant's reign begins.
Macbeth is indeed crowned king at Scone. He's achieved his ambition, but it's not the glorious, peaceful reign he might have pictured in his wildest dreams.
Far from it. The crown feels less like a triumph and more like a heavy, blood-stained burden. Despite achieving his goal, Macbeth quickly finds that to be thus is nothing, but to be safely thus.
Meaning just being king isn't enough. He needs to be secure.
Exactly. And this drives him into this spiraling paranoia. His deepest anxieties start to center on Banquo.
Why Banquo specifically?
Well, partly because of Banquo's inherent royalty of nature. That phrase suggests Banquo's noble, upright character, which contrasts so sharply with Macbeth's increasingly twisted one. And of course, there's the witch's prophecy.
That Banquo's descendants, not Macbeth's, will inherit the throne.
That looms like a dark cloud over his ill-gotten crown. He can't stand the thought of it.
So he's not just worried about being king now. He's obsessed with staying king and ensuring his own lineage, even though he has no children yet. This brings us right back to fate versus free will, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The witches prophesied Banquo's lineage would rule, but Macbeth chooses to act on his fears. He actively tries to thwart the prophecy by arranging Banquo's murder.
He's demonstrating this desperate, violent attempt to control fate through his own free will.
It's such a stark contrast to Banquo, who seemed more passive, more accepting of the prophecy about his heirs. Banquo never tries to force his children onto the throne.
But Macbeth isn't content to let destiny unfold. He feels compelled to seize it, to bend it to his will.
That's a critical distinction. Banquo, while curious, doesn't act on the prophecies nefariously. Macbeth takes matters into his own, now very bloodied, hands, believing he can outmaneuver fate.
So he hires murderers.
Yes, to ambush Banquo and his young son, Fleance. Banquo is killed, but in a devastating twist for Macbeth, Fleance escapes into the night.
Oh, that escape, it's huge.
Massive. Macbeth learns that the grown serpent lies dead, but the worm that's fled, Fleance, will, in time, will venom breed.
Meaning the threat remains.
Exactly. This escape is a critical turning point. It ensures the witch's prophecy for Banquo's lineage remains a very real, persistent threat to Macbeth's crown, preventing him from ever truly feeling safe. His paranoia is locked in.
And the immediate consequence of this, well, partly failed murder attempt, plays out so spectacularly in the banquet scene. One of those famous moments in the play.
It really is. It showcases Macbeth's complete psychological breakdown for everyone to see.
Right. At this celebratory banquet, ironically meant to solidify his kingship and project stability.
An image of normalcy.
He learns Fleance has escaped, and his already fragile mind, burdened by guilt and fear, just fractures. Banquo's ghost appears.
Unseen by anyone else, importantly. It sits right in Macbeth's chair. This is where his character psychology just unravels completely, right there in front of the Scottish nobles.
His terrifying visions, his outbursts screaming, "Avaunt and quit my sight, let the earth hide thee." It reveals the overwhelming weight of his guilt and paranoia. It's manifesting physically, or at least to him it is.
The horror of it completely shatters his public facade of normalcy. He can't keep it together. His internal torment just spills out into this shocking public display. It's a profound demonstration of how the mind, once corrupted, becomes its own worst tormentor.
And this is another profound instance of appearance versus reality, isn't it?
Absolutely. Lady Macbeth, ever the pragmatist, the master of deception, tries desperately to cover for him. She dismisses his flaws and starts as just a painting of your fear, a familiar fit he's had since childhood.
Trying to normalize it, smooth things over.
Yeah, urging the guests to pay no mind. But the damage is done. The public display of his internal torment completely disrupts the social order of the feast. It exposes his instability, his guilt, the cracks in his tyrannical reign to the very nobles whose loyalty he desperately needs.
They must be horrified,
Yeah.
deeply unnerved.
No doubt. And after the banquet, Macbeth seems completely unhinged. He resolves to revisit the Weird Sisters. He's determined now to know the worst. By the worst means the worst. He's embracing the darkness.
No more fighting it.
No. He declares he is, in blood, stepped in so far that, should I wade no more, returning were as tedious as go o'er.
That line gives me chills. It signifies a complete, horrifying surrender to evil. There's no turning back.
He feels trapped by his own deeds. He's committed so many atrocities that going back to a moral life seems harder, more tedious than just continuing down this path of violence and destruction.
It's truly the point of no return. He's crossed a moral threshold.
And now he feels compelled to continue, maybe even to justify the previous crimes with new ones, which leads us into the falling action. The escalation of tyranny marked by new, even more ambiguous prophecies, and Macduff's profound personal grief.
That's right. Macbeth goes back to the witches, demanding more answers. Desperate for reassurance, desperate for any shred of hope that his reign will be secure.
And he gets 3 new prophecies, or apparitions, each one designed to create a false sense of security, yet each one filled with that treacherous equivocation, those deceptive half-truths again.
What are they this time?
First, an armed head warns him, "Beware Macduff." A direct warning about a specific person. Okay, seems clear enough. Second, a bloody child reassures him. "None of woman born shall harm Macbeth." Sounds pretty invincible, right?
Sounds like he's untouchable.
Exactly. And finally, a crowned child holding a tree promises he will not be vanquished until great Birnam Wood to high Dunsinane Hill shall come against him. Which sounds impossible.
A forest moving up a hill. Yeah, it sounds pretty safe.
And again, that theme of appearance versus reality just shines through so powerfully. These prophecies appear comforting, almost making Macbeth invincible, but they conceal treacherous truths.
And Macbeth, in his growing hubris and desperation, interprets them completely literally, doesn't he?
Totally literally. It cements his overconfidence and paves the way for his downfall. He completely misses the deceptive, double-edged nature of their words. He's too consumed by his desires, his fear, to see the subtle trap. He believes he's safe.
When in fact, he's walking directly into a snare.
And this false sense of security leads directly to Macbeth's most reckless and frankly morally depraved act of cruelty yet.
Worse than killing Duncan.
Arguably, yes, in terms of motive. Despite the warning about Macduff, or perhaps because of it, Macbeth orders the ruthless murder of Macduff's wife and children, his whole family.
Why? What's the point?
That's just it. Unlike Duncan's murder, which was driven by ambition for the crown, this act is purely one of preventative terror. It serves no direct strategic purpose other than to eliminate a perceived threat Macduff and punish his perceived disloyalty in fleeing to England.
It showcases his complete moral decay. His descent into unchecked, desperate tyranny. He's become a monster, killing without real cause or gain, just lashing out in fear.
It's truly horrific. It demonstrates his absolute moral bankruptcy. He's no longer killing just for power. He's killing out of sheer, desperate fear and a desire to crush any potential opposition, however innocent.
Meanwhile, Macduff, having wisely fled to England, is seeking Malcolm's aid, trying to rally forces against the tyrant and save Scotland.
Right, and Malcolm, remember, is Duncan's rightful heir. But he's initially suspicious. He thinks Macduff might be a spy, sent by Macbeth to lure him back to Scotland and into a trap.
So he tests him.
Cleverly, yes. Malcolm tests Macduff's loyalty by pretending to be an even worse tyrant than Macbeth. He lists all sorts of fabricated vices, lust, greed, you name it.
And how does Macduff react?
Macduff's genuine grief and despair for Scotland, his raw patriotism, his utter horror at Malcolm's supposed evil, oh, Scotland, Scotland. He cries that convinces Malcolm of his sincerity.
It's a crucial test of true leadership and loyalty. It highlights Malcolm's wisdom and caution, unlike his perhaps overly trusting father, Duncan.
Definitely. But the ultimate catalyst for Macduff's righteous fury, the thing that really turns him into an instrument of vengeance, arrives when Ross brings the news.
The news about his family.
Yes, the devastating news of their slaughter. Macduff's raw grief, his heart-wrenching cry, "Oh, my pretty chickens and their damned," at one fell swoop. It's incredibly powerful. You feel it.
It contrasts so sharply with Malcolm's initial reaction, which is maybe a bit less empathetic. He tells him to dispute it like a man, meaning turn grief into anger.
Right. But Macbeth asserts, but I must also feel it as a man. He refuses to suppress his grief. He embraces it as a vital part of his humanity, which then fuels his personal vendetta against Macbeth.
It makes it personal, deeply personal.
Exactly. This moment shifts the emotional core of the play, doesn't it? It transforms a political uprising into this deeply personal quest for vengeance and justice, imbued with profound emotional weight.
And here's where it gets really interesting, as you said before.
Yeah, the play shifts focus. It moves from Macbeth's internal struggle, his psychological torment, towards the external battle for Scotland's very soul.
The gathering of forces. Malcolm, Macduff, the English army, led by Seward.
It symbolizes the rising tide of good, of justice, against Macbeth's entrenched, unholy evil.
And so, these forces of justice gather, leading us finally to the resolution, the fall of the tyrant, where prophecies are finally fulfilled and order is restored.
But before Macbeth's own end, we witness the ultimate psychological consequence of their shared ambition, a truly tragic unraveling, Lady Macbeth's madness and death.
Ah, yes. Her end is heartbreaking in its own way.
It really is. Her once seemingly impenetrable conscience, the one that allowed her to plan and enable regicide, it eventually just breaks her.
She's tormented by overwhelming guilt. We see her sleepwalking.
Compulsively reliving the murders of Duncan and Banquo, desperately trying to wash her hands of the imaginary blood she sees. Out, damn spot. Out, I say, she cries.
Her mind is shattered. Her inner turmoil manifests in these frantic, repetitive motions. The doctor even says her illness is beyond his practice. It's not of the body, but of the mind.
She ultimately dies. It's implied by suicide, offstage. A stark illustration that her initial chilling assertion, "a little water clears us of this deed," proved devastatingly false. You can't just wash away that kind of guilt.
Her psychological breakdown is truly tragic. The ultimate price paid for their actions. It's a haunting, utterly desolate end for a character who once seemed so formidable, so resolute.
And Macbeth, now stripped of everything, honor, love, friends, facing an impending siege, he grapples with this profound mix of defiance and, well, nihilistic despair.
His famous tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow speech.
Exactly. Delivered right after he hears of Lady Macbeth's death, it reveals his profound sense of life's meaninglessness. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more.
It's a tale told by an idiot.
Full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. He recognizes the utter emptiness of his reign, the hollowness of his ambition. Yet, even then, he clings desperately to the witch's prophecies, believing he's invincible until the very end.
But those last delusions are very quickly shattered, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. First, the Burnham Wood prophecy. It's fulfilled through a clever military strategy, not magic.
Malcolm's idea, right?
Malcolm orders his soldiers to cut down branches from Burnham Wood and hold them up as camouflage as they approach Dunsinane Castle.
So it looks like the forest is moving.
Exactly. Macbeth's watchman reports this moving grove, horrifying Macbeth as the first prophecy begins to unravel, chillingly confirming the witch's deceptive nature. What seemed impossible becomes reality through human ingenuity.
It exposes the trickery, the equivocation. Macbeth's literal interpretation was his downfall there.
Precisely. Appearance versus reality again. And then comes the final inevitable confrontation. Macbeth meets his match.
Macduff.
In their ultimate duel, Macbeth, still confident in that none of women-born prophecy, boasts of his charmed life.
But Macduff shatters that illusion.
With a devastating revelation. He was, from his mother's womb, untimely ripped. Meaning he was delivered by cesarean section, not born in the natural way Macbeth assumed.
Wow. The final loophole. The last equivocation brutally laid bare. That must have been the crushing blow to Macbeth's belief in his invincibility.
Absolutely. And this is the ultimate clash of fate versus free will, in a way. Macbeth finally realizes the full extent of the witch's deception. He calls them juggling fiends that palter with us in a double sense, who keep the word of promise to our ear and break it to our hope.
He understands they played him, misled him with half-truths.
He gets it, finally. But even in this moment of crushing realization, facing certain defeat, he still chooses to fight. He refuses to surrender to young Malcolm's feet and be paraded as a captive.
He chooses to die as a warrior, albeit a damn desperate one, refusing to yield until his last breath.
And with that final choice, the restoration of power, justice, and social order is complete. Macduff, fueled by that righteous vengeance for his slaughtered family.
Kills Macbeth.
Kills and decapitates him, symbolically and literally cutting off the head of tyranny. It's a brutal, decisive end that restores the natural order and justice to Scotland.
And Malcolm is hailed as king.
Yes, hailed as the new rightful king of Scotland. He promises to heal the suffering country, restore proper rule, call home those who fled Macbeth's tyranny, and punish those who aided him.
So the play concludes with the forces of good prevailing, establishing peace under a just king.
Albeit at a great cost, right? So much blood and suffering. But it serves as this powerful warning against unchecked ambition.
This journey through Macbeth has, well, it's revealed such a complex web of ambition and consequence, hasn't it? Macbeth's internal conflict, that initial moral struggle against his own black and deep desires, it ultimately succumbs to his ruthless will, leading to that reign of terror fueled by paranoia.
And his external conflict, of course, with those who oppose his tyranny, culminates in his violent overthrow.
And Lady Macbeth, who started as this strong driving force, ends in that tragic state of madness and death. A stark illustration of the profound psychological toll of her actions and the sheer impossibility of washing away true guilt.
While Macduff, the embodiment of righteous vengeance, brings justice back to the land, and Malcolm, embodying true, cautious leadership, restores peace and order, promising a new, virtuous era for Scotland.
We've really seen how the seductive power of prophecy, when it's mixed with unchecked ambition, can twist a noble character into, well, a dead butcher, as Malcolm calls him at the end.
And we've explored that insidious nature of appearance versus reality, where outward shows of loyalty conceal murderous intent and those seemingly clear prophecies hide deadly deceptions. It really reminds you that things are rarely as they seem on the surface.
Absolutely. And we've wrestled with that fundamental question of fate versus free will. Were Macbeth's actions predetermined by the witches? Or did his own choices just fulfill what was foretold, bringing about his own demise through his desperate attempts to control his destiny?
It's the perennial question, isn't it? Ultimately, the play offers this profound look at how the disruption of power, justice, and social order leads inevitably to chaos, and how true leadership has to be founded on virtue, not on violence.
So here's something for you to consider. If Macbeth had never met the witches, if their prophecies had never touched his ears, would his ambition have just lain dormant? Or was the seed of his tyrannical fate already inside him, simply waiting for any catalyst to bloom into bloody reality?
A fascinating thought.
We've covered the entire tragic arc of Macbeth today, giving you, hopefully, a solid foundational understanding of this masterpiece. But honestly, there is so much more to uncover in this play.
Oh, absolutely. We've only scratched the surface.
In our upcoming series of journeys, we'll actually unpack each act in meticulous detail, scene by scene, line by line, to truly appreciate the genius of Shakespeare and the profound insights he offers into the human condition.
We really invite you to join us for those upcoming explorations where we can properly dive into the language, the symbolism, the deeper meanings that make Macbeth such an enduring work of art.
Thank you for joining us on this literary journey. Hit subscribe and share to become part of our AI human collaboration, where every listener helps shape future episodes.